Good morning. Our names are Stephanie Fajardo and Regina Palomeque, and we are students of English language at the Autonomous University of State of Quintana Roo. Our research topic is the impact of speaking anxiety in English classes on EFL students at UAEQROO. This topic arose due to the personal experiences throughout our career. We noticed that fear and worry were triggered most strongly in the ability to speak. Our performance in this skill was affected and slowly began to affect the other skills. That's why the anxiety grew so much that even our colleagues noticed it. Um, and when we told them about our situation, it turned out that they were experiencing the same situation, just with different degrees of anxiety. This made us wonder if other students before after us experienced a similar situation. Based on this, we pose the problem of English speaking skills performance. Anxiety can have a significant impact on students, affecting not only their academic performance but also their emotional well being.
Our hypothesis says English speaking anxiety affects performance in English classes, and the impact of this anxiety can vary depending on internal and external factors. We say this because when individuals experience anxiety, their cognitive resources are diverted towards managing the anxiety rather than focusing on the task at hand. In an English class, this can manifest as difficulty in understanding instructions, retrieving vocabulary, or formulating coherent sentences. This leads to decreased fluency, accuracy, and overall performance in speaking activities. Students experiencing high levels of anxiety may try to avoid speaking altogether. This can lead to decreased participation in class discussions and activities, further limiting their opportunities to practice and improve their English speaking skills.
Our objectives for this investigation are determining the underlying factors that increase anxiety in EFL students at UECRA and determine the impact these factors have on students' performance.
For our theoretical framework, we decided to use the Foreign Language Anxiety Theory, the EFL, by Horwitz and Co. in 1986. They say that foreign language anxiety is a distinct complex of self-perceptions, feelings, and behaviors related to classroom language learning arising from the uniqueness of the language learning process. The teaching of learning of English are crucial since all skills may be improved. On the other side, speaking English is usually recognized as a crucial ability when utilizing it. Henry Turgen in 1981, speaking is the act of expressing ideas, opinions, and feelings through the use of words or articulated sounds. And the concepts that we use from this theory is the speaking anxiety, that according to Garner and Maintarin, cited in NIMA 1930. Speaking anxiety is a fear of communication apprehension occurring when a learner is expected to perform in the second or foreign language. And these authors, Horwitz and Koch, have proposed three factors that influence the performance anxiety of students. These factors are communication apprehension, test anxiety, and fear of negative evaluation. They believe that anxiety in learning EFL is closely related to other academic or social aspects. Now, in 2007 has also added anxiety about English classes as one more anxiety factor. But the definition of these factors that we use from this is that communication apprehension. Horwitz and Cope define communication apprehension like a form of shyness characterized by fear or anxiety about communication with others. This anxiety very often plagues EFL students in English classes. Students feel embarrassed to talk to the teacher and or their peers in English. These students feel like someone is observing them, watching out for them to make mistakes in their grammar. This causes the students to be anxious when asked to speak English. Students feel that their English language is not as good as the ability of their peers. The second factor, the second concept that we use is the test anxiety. According to Gordon and Saracen in 1955, this test anxiety is a type of performance anxiety stemming from a fear of failure. This factor usually occurs when students face an English language test, especially in oral tests. Students feel pressure and uncomfortable in this situation. Even students who have prepared themselves perfectly for an oral English test can make errors in the test. They seem to lose their ability during the test. Students make untypical errors and apparently don't know what they have to do on the test. And the last one is the fear of evaluation. And this concept is defined by Watson and Friend 1969 as an apprehension about others' evaluation, avoidance of evaluative situations, and the expectations that others will evaluate oneself negatively. This fear of negative evaluation is related to test anxiety. Nevertheless, it is different from test anxiety because it refers to general evaluation done by other people in any situation, while test anxiety refers specifically to a test situation only. Some authors says that an interesting issue to note is those learners who have a high level of fear toward negative evaluation are not always critical towards themselves, but once they interact with others, they tend to avoid by not participating in the interaction or making a very short or concise contribution. Gregerson and Horwitz in 2002 mentioned that foreign language anxiety and the fear evaluation influence the behaviors of learners directly during communication-oriented situations, as they tend to limit their participation in any type of task that expose them to peer or teacher evaluation. Using these concepts, we can separate ourselves with our variables, which are anxiety, impact, and the academic performance of the students. And we can interpret them as the feeling of fear of being evaluated, of simply being judged for making a mistake in a word, in grammar structure, and that can have an impact on how we react to practice activities, such as feeling more insecure and lack of self-confidence. Now, speaking of the literature review, we decided to divide it into two topics. The first topic is the studies about the possible speaking anxiety factors. In this first topic covers 7 studies that, as you can see, use both quantitative and qualitative methods, and only one uses the mixed method. Furthermore, it can be seen that these studies are from other countries, none that have been carried out in Mexico. In general, the findings says that for these students, the simple act of expressing themselves in English can feel like a monumental task. Their limited vocabulary and grammar skills restrict their ability to articulate their thoughts and ideas clearly, leaving them feeling misunderstood and frustrated. This frustration can then feed into their anxiety about speaking in public, creating a vicious cycle that can be difficult to break. However, the studies also mention that teachers play a crucial role in helping these students overcome these challenges by creating a supportive and inclusive classroom environment. They can encourage students to take risks and express themselves without fear of judgment. And also, public speaking differs greatly between individuals because some students may feel comfortable speaking in front of a familiar audience, such as their classmates, but become anxious when faced with unfamiliar faces. The second topic is the studies about the impact of speaking anxiety in ESL students' performance. In this topic, we have four studies that use a mixed method, and the other ones use quantitative. Again, these studies are from other countries. This is because we didn't find studies in a Mexican context. And in general, the findings of this study says that pre-test training emerges as a crucial factor in improving students' performance by equipping them with the necessary knowledge and strategies. Pre-test training can alleviate anxiety and boost confidence. This, in turn, empowers them to approach the actual test with a calmer and more focused mindset, leading to better results. However, the benefits of pre-test training alone are insufficient of sustaining progress. And also that difficulty concentrating in English classes can hinder the retention of information and impede skill development. Without consistent practice, students risk losing momentum and failing to translate knowledge into practical communication skills. Some of these studies says that the speaking test scores that while valuable indicators of progress don't always accurately reflect a student's true communication potentially. Anxiety, both positive and negative, can significantly affect performance, while a healthy dose of anxiety can motivate students to prepare thoroughly. Excessive anxiety can lead to mental blocks and hinder the ability to communicate effectively. Finding the right balance between anxiety and focus is key to unlocking true communication potential. This study says that it requires a multifaceted approach that addresses the individual needs of each student by fostering a supportive learning environment, incorporating engaging activities, and providing opportunities for practice. Teachers can empower students to overcome their anxieties and develop the confidence to communicate effectively in English.
Okay, so in the method, our design is focused on non-experimental. This is because instruments that alter or modify their students' responses are not applied. Regarding the approach, we choose quantitative because it is deal for collecting data for a large number of participants. We decided to focus on the students of the Autonomous University of the State of Quintana Roo. We focus especially on the second, third, and sixth semester of English language. So, contemplating both shifts with a total of 120 students. In order to collect their data, we decided to use a Likert survey called Forage Language Classroom Anxiety Scales, que es EFL-CAS. This survey has a Spanish version that is valid and reliable, so applying in this it has extremely high percentage to obtain the desired results. One of the limitations we take into account is that participants may not be completely honest, perhaps for fear of being judged. This will lead to a response bias in the neutral option. So in the process, we first apply the instrument to a group to pilot it and identify if there are any errors that we should make. After that, we will contact the teachers in charge of the English subject and ask their permission in advice so that we could apply the instrument about 15 minutes before their class ends. We we are in front of the students. We will confirm that their responses are completely anonymous and that none of their personal data will be used to provide. This is that they feel confident in answering honestly. Once we have the data, we collect the information in a statistical program called SPSS. In our results, we expect to find a correlation between anxiety levels and academic performance, which confirms a part of a hypothesis in which it is stated that anxiety affectively affects speaking performance. We also hope to identify the anxiety triggers that led the students to develop a fear that prevents speaking performance, as well as a finding variation in anxiety levels according to the level of English proficiency. That's where the different levels that the students are at come from, such as A2 plus, B1 plus, and B2. As a final finding, we hope to find the impact of anxiety on participants in our classes.
Finally, it only remains to mention our references that we use to support our research, which can help you start your own research if it is on the same topic or you simply want to further read your knowledge about anxiety during English speaking classes. Your comments, suggestions, and questions are welcome as they help us improve our research. Thank you and have a nice day.